Mrs. Hopkins?
Here.
Mrs. Burdick? Here. Mr. Barnes?
Present.
Mr. Decker?
Here.
Mr. Havey? Here. Mrs. Root?
Here.
Mr. Stockin?
Here.
Mr. Crandall? Here. 8 members present.
Thank you. Thank you. The next order of business will be the approval of minutes of March 3rd, 2021. The motion on that? Oh, I'm sorry. The next order of business will be the approval of the minutes, March 3rd, 2021.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Mrs. Root makes the motion, second by Mrs. Burdick. Any questions about that or corrections? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is passed. Thank you. Okay, our first report of the day is from Tyler Shaw, the Public Health Director. Thank you for coming, Tyler. I'm sure you have lots to tell us.
Good afternoon. Monthly report, not much to highlight, still COVID. Vaccine clinics are ramping up now. Still offering rapid testing. We do have rapid testing going on today with slots available at the old Wellsville Kmart site from 4 to 5 tonight. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and sign up on the webpage. Outside of the monthly report as well, we do have a Johnson & Johnson 1-dose vaccine clinic this Friday as well at the old Wellsville Kmart site, and that's from 8:30 a.m. till 2:30 p.m. We do still have slots available for that vaccine as well. Other than that, on the monthly report, I'll take any questions.
Okay, about that. Tyler, do you have the number handy of the number of Allegheny County residents that have been vaccinated fully and one shot only?
I don't have those numbers. The state has that breakdown. I can give you the total number that we vaccinated, period.
Okay.
Right now, it's 5,466 first doses and 1,867 second doses across all the vaccines.
That does it. Thank you.
Just an update on our mass vac site that we had a couple weeks ago, 325 to 328. I did want to highlight a great job by our staff and our volunteers that assisted us. First dose vaccines across Thursday through Sunday, 2,701 doses. And then our second doses were 495 for that weekend. So huge week for us.
Excellent. Thank you to all of the workers and the volunteers who have come in and been a part of those clinics. I have a question from Chairman Crandall.
Comment. I had, and I was actually down at the Kmart site that Sunday, and we had been teasing, Allegheny County had been teasing for more vaccinations. We'd been getting in the 100 a week or whatever, that range. And when all of a sudden there were 3,000 dumped in our lap, I think that the thought was maybe that's overwhelming and more than they can handle. That was certainly not the case. Everything was handled in a very professional manner. People were getting moved through there very easily. It was a nice setup, and I just want to thank our public health director, Tyler Shaw. Even though there was a whole list of volunteers and a number of people that helped make this happen, the logistics of putting that together certainly were fine. So thank you for the job done, and to all of those that helped make it happen, including, and number one, the facility itself that was graciously opened and allowed this to happen in Allegheny County.
Right. I would agree with that, Chairman Crandall, that all of the feedback that I've had from all over the county has been that our clinics have been so well run, so well planned and so well run, and that the people are efficient. They know exactly what they're doing. They are friendly. They are comforting, and it's an easy thing to do. So we thank you. We thank you all for that. I would encourage anyone who's listening today who has not had a vaccination, who has been reluctant for one reason or another, I would like to reassure them that I'm hearing such excellent news from people about how they have not had much of a reaction. Some people have, of course, but I would encourage you to get a vaccination. That's the way we're going to be able to get back to normal. So, anything else? Oh, a question from Mrs. Root.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
Just recently, I've been watching, I keep my eye on what's going on up in Canada, and Ontario has just gone the opposite way. They're locking down everything. They're saying that they're seeing their ICUs are filling up. They're seeing another surge and a variant. Are we seeing anything like that down here at all?
Not right now, but it would be naive to think that the variants aren't here already. Yep, it is the vaccine right now. We're in a race against the variant, so we do encourage everyone to get their vaccine if they can. It still is important. It is offering some type of protection against these variants. So we're in that race right now.
So my understanding is up in Canada, they do lag behind us with vaccines. Is that why perhaps they're seeing this uptick because of the variants and that we have already gotten our vaccines?
It's a possibility.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. We do have that. We do have a robust network of providers to offer the vaccine, probably more so than Canada does.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Havey.
Thank you. I just wanted to say a couple of things about how organized the sites have been. My wife and I have both gotten the vaccine. We got the Moderna, so we had to go twice. And each occasion, we were in and out in, well, aside from the 15 minutes you have to wait afterwards, would have been in and out in 10 minutes. Extremely organized for anyone who is hesitating to go because they don't want to get tied up in that mess of waiting lines and waiting rooms and things of this nature that they may have been accustomed to for other health services. Not the case here. You're in and you're out. And highly recommend, if you haven't had your vaccine, to please get it. It's good for you and good for us.
Thank you, Mr. Havey. Question, Mr. Barnes?
Yes. Talking about the variants, have there been any cases of people who have had COVID-19 and recovered, caught a variant that you're aware of?
Yeah, so the state does do random testing on any COVID-19 specimens that are sent to the Wadsworth Center. We did have one individual with travel history that came back positive for one of the variants, yeah.
So in other words, a person that has had and recovered from COVID, and if they've had a vaccine in addition, is still susceptible to a variant.
It's a possibility. No vaccine is 100%, but it does offer you some protection from, one, preventing you from serious illness, and two, preventing you from hospitalizations. Those are the main things. And there are studies out there that are coming out saying that even transmissibility, if you're vaccinated, is lower.
I asked that question simply because I found out months later that I had COVID-19. Never knew it until I donated blood, and I got an email saying that I had antibodies. But and then since then I've been vaccinated. But so I'm still susceptible, but hopefully protected somewhat from serious.
Yeah, it's a more serious illness.
Well,
Yep.
and I believe Mr. Barnes said that he was now vaccinated, so he's even better off than just having had the disease. Thank you. Mr. Healy.
Yes, I just want to make a shout out here to LC Whitford and the Whitford family for donating the site that the old Kmart facilities there at Riverwalk in Wellsville for our use, and I thank them.
Thank you, Mr. Healy. That's certainly a good thing to share with all of us, and we appreciate it. Yes, Jeff in the back. Sorry.
I'd just like to add one thing along with that.
wanna-
Actually, Steuben County reached out to me.
Do you want to come up?
Come on up.
Steuben County OEM reached out to me because they have the same type facility, they have the Kmart facility. And that person that owns that wanted an outrageous rent price. Again, it's the community working together, so I don't think they ever were able to move into that. but they heard about ours and thought it'd be a great opportunity, whoever owns it would not donate it or have a reasonable rent for them to work with. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Yes, and so just to wind up on the COVID information, if you are looking for getting a vaccine, please check the Allegheny County website, and it will lead you to the way to make an appointment. And as Mr. Shaw said, that there are still appointments available for each clinic that's coming up. Thank you. Okay, we have, any other, I'd like to take a look at your monthly report now, Tyler.
Okay.
Do you have anything that you'd like to highlight from that?
No, not much difference. We are seeing a ramp up in our programs. COVID is still the primary focus right now, contact tracing, vaccines, and rapid testing. But we are seeing some of our programs start to slowly open back up, some educational opportunities. The schools are on break right now, but hoping that at some point in the future we can get back in there for some education. And some of our environmental programs are opening back up as well with their seasonal establishments starting to open.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on the report? Okay, we have something to consider today. It is a rental agreement with Quadrant Incorporated for a postage meter utilized in the Health Department WIC location in Wellsville. We'll need a motion to start that off. Mr. Stockin, second by Mrs. Root. Tyler, do you want to just give us a brief comment about that?
Sure, this is our postage meter used for mailing out items for our WIC participants. Since COVID-19 hit, they have suspended office visits, so we've been mailing our participants their checks and other educational items, so this would be important. We did just offer the 12-month agreement so that we could reevaluate after that period.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the committee or the legislators? Mr. Graves?
I'm just curious, the county has other postage meters. Is that correct, Brenda?
It is correct. However, the WIC clinic is in Wellsville.
So logistically, it doesn't make sense.
Correct.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Other questions? Okay, we'll call for a vote on that then. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that motion is passed. Thank you. Anything else, Tyler?
Did you want to talk about the request to fill?
Sure.
Okay.
It's not here. It's at the very back? Okay, thank you. No wonder. I would have missed. I thought you had one. Thank you. Okay, I believe Chairman Crandall would like to share some information at this time.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a repeat of what I said at the last committee, but since some are in the room that weren't there, I'll give you the brief announcement. On December 2nd of last year, I announced that we would be forming a position review ad hoc committee, which happened, and now it's been a little better than 4 months that that's been in place. And the idea was to have the request for these positions go to that committee to be reviewed and look at their need and funding, timing of the requests, and so forth. That has happened. Our circumstances have changed somewhat. We had been meeting by Zoom. Now we're swinging back into our regular committee meeting system. And also, at that time, that was first part of December, was on the heels of adopting a budget. And at that particular time, the requests that had come in that particular day exceeded $150,000 that we had not budgeted for those positions. So some of those things we've worked through, but we will be dissolving this ad hoc committee. There will be a memo that goes out to the department heads and legislators later today, but this is being addressed again at the committee level, each of these positions, committee of jurisdiction. The only thing that I think that we should keep an eye on and continue is, again, the review of the need of those positions, especially creating a new position. Obviously, there are some that are already there. There are existing positions that have been funded and are needed where someone retires or resigns and they need to be filled. But the board, the ad hoc committee has approached these with let's take a close look at each of these positions, and my hope is that would continue on. But for now, the addressing of these positions is back at the committee level. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. I will be asking some of the questions that the committee members may have, some other questions about these. And just for those listening, all of the positions to fill in this committee were at the end of the agenda, but because our department heads are here, we're going to take them as they come in that order. And you can find them all at the end of your packet for the legislators. So go ahead, Tyler, tell us about the public health sanitarian.
Sure, we're anticipating a retirement. One of our long-term employees, been here 32 plus years, is set to retire at the end of April. This is an existing position. We currently have 4 sanitarians assigned to different quadrants in the county and assigned different townships. So this is a higher functioning, higher level position. It's responsible for complex testing, inspections, and investigations of environmental health programs, which there are 30 plus programs that they're in charge of, from water to lead poisoning, restaurant inspections, swimming pools, campgrounds, you name it, they're probably doing it. This is funded 100% by state funds through our Article 6 General Public Health Works and other grant sources as well. And it is in our current budget for this year as well.
Okay, thank you. Those are the bulk of the questions. It is a union position as well and an existing one. Mr. Stockin. Thank you, Mr. Stockin moves to accept this. Mrs. Root seconds. Okay, any questions from the legislators? Additional ones? I think you've covered pretty much the list of questions that I had, so we'll go ahead and vote if no one has questions. Mr. Barnes, do you have a question?
Yeah, I was just looking at some of the numbers here, annual salary of the position, low of 47,281 to 51,114, and cost benefits from 18,472 to 19,970. If you took the lower of both of those, it's what you got here is for the current year's budget for this position is $63,013. So is it possible you could hire somebody that would actually be a little bit more expensive than what's currently in the budget?
Well, it depends on the fringe. That's the main thing. So that's not covered in the salary portion. That's a separate line item. So the salary portion would be the 63,000. We would
Okay,
not
that's salary only.
Yes.
Does not include, but, so in other words, there's something in the budget to cover this position's other expenses.
Yeah, that 63,000 is what's in there for our long-term
Just-
employee right now. Yep, just for salary. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Terry, did you have a comment?
I was just going to comment that most of the departments, the salary is the only part that's in their specific budget, and fringes are budgeted in a lump sum amount further in the budget, in a general cost center, okay?
My specific question, though, was that when we do a budget to cover all positions in the county, we talk, the salary is what we're talking about here, but you're saying that the other costs are included in the budget, but separately.
Correct. They are
Now,
just,
how do you know that number can vary depending on also on the salary, number one,
Correct.
and
We base
Other
it on the
options.
current employee that's in that position, and we base the fringes on that current employee. So for instance, when Tyler will have this employee that leaves, if we hire him less, his fringes would be less, but we have enough fringes in the budget to cover that position at the current rate of pay.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Burdick had a question.
Tyler, I just was wondering, this sounds like a pretty educated person position. They obviously have to, so is it going to be hard to fill?
It's a minimum bachelor's degree, and it's very specific in the natural sciences. It can be difficult to fill. It is difficult to find those. Yep.
Any other questions? If not, we'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is passed. Thank you very much. Thank you, Tyler.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work, and I hope you all can get some rest as well. Okay, next on our agenda is Anita Madison, Office of the Aging Director. And she is here. Thank you for coming, Anita. She also will have a position to fill as well. Would you like to highlight some things from your report?
Yes, so our monthly report, the first thing I'd like to highlight is the telephone calls.
Not sure, you need to turn your mic on, I think, from here. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
When it's red, you can hear.
Okay. The first thing I'd like to highlight is the telephone calls at our front desk. So if you look for the same month last year, which was February of 2020, we had 1,056 calls coming into our front desk. Last month, meaning January, from this report was 2,532. And for February, we had 3,205 calls come into our front desk. We've already run the report for March for that, and we're at 3,865. So our front office is very busy, answering calls, returning calls. So that would be one thing I would like to highlight. The next thing I'd like to highlight is our home care. So our PC level 1 and our PC level 2 home care. From last year at this time, we went from 451 units of service in PC2, which is personal care, to 583 this month. So we continue to increase there, as well as PC1, which is housekeeper chore services. That was 682 at this time last year, and we're at 798 units of service for this year. So those continue to increase. Under COVID-19 services, which includes some Meals on Wheels for individuals who are unable to obtain food, as well as other services, we had 2,263 units of service for this month. Last month, we had 1,600.
Okay. And just a question, you've done a tremendous job, you and your staff, in meeting the need here during the COVID time especially, and you've been operating the waiting list for seniors age 65 for the COVID appointments. Are you still working on that now, or is that all finished?
No, it's not all finished. We are continuing to work with the health department and Tyler with the list. We are helping people 60 or over register for appointments when needed, and even under 60 when we have vaccine available. So,
Okay, thank you very much.
you're welcome.
Okay, go ahead,
The other thing I'd like to highlight is on the second page, we did open up our tax counseling for the elderly program with a modified model this year. So we did what's called a drop-off model. We were able to process taxes for our seniors. So from February 17th, which is when the program opened, till the end of February, we had processed 34 returns and brought in a refund of $35,953 into the county for our older adults from the 17th to the end of the month.
Okay. And I'm noticing here on your report that East Wind Nursery and Flower Shop donated 200, or no, not, that's the date, but donated carnations for all the home delivered meals clients on February 24th. That's a very nice thing to do again, and we thank them.
Absolutely.
Okay. Are there any questions for Anita? Okay. Oops. Okay, we'll move on then to the request to fill the Luncheon Center manager positions.
So this is a request to fill 4 part-time luncheon center positions. We have 9 total congregate luncheon centers across the county, but we do have substitute site managers who fill in for vacations or illnesses. So this would fulfill all 9 congregate site managers as well as the substitute positions. Comes as we are starting to reopen our congregate sites over the next couple months.
Okay. I believe that Anita has an ongoing permission to fill these positions. Is that right, Mrs. Knapp?
I believe so.
Okay, thank you. We'll need a motion to start that. Mrs. Burdick, a second by Mr. Havey. Any questions, discussion? Mr. Stockin?
Am I right in assuming on this and all of these things right now that are like this, these numbers are annual numbers, and since we're a quarter of the way through the year already, whatever goes forward, the amounts are going to be less than what's on here?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Okay. And just to answer some of the questions that I was going to ask, this is an existing position. It is a part-time position. It is not a union position. The responsibilities are to basically run the program while it's at the luncheon centers. Have these positions been vacant for a while?
Well, our congregate sites have been closed, and when we started to reopen, we did have a couple people who said that they would like to retire. They were older adults themselves and would like to spend time with their grandchildren. So we are looking to fill those positions, and then we did have some substitutes who were not interested in coming back, so we are looking at filling those positions as well.
Okay, thank you. And also, the funding for this, I see it's 90% county, 90% federal.
Yeah.
Is that right?
It's,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
10% county, 90%.
I'm sorry. I don't know what's
Federal.
wrong with my eyes today. I can't
Yeah.
seem to read anything. Sorry about that. I'll let you say it.
well, it is 90% federal, 10% county, and it is already in our budget for all of the positions. We had budgeted for those.
Thank you. That covers the questions that I had. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, we'll vote on it. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Please say no. That is passed. Thank you, Anita.
Thank you.
Okay. And
The
We
next
have-
thing
go
that we
ahead.
have is a request to reappropriate grant funds that were not spent in 2020 for the overlapping state fiscal year. So we're looking to reappropriate unmet needs funds into the 2021 county budget.
okay, we'll need a motion to start that. Mrs. Root? Second, Mrs. Burdick? Okay. Tell us a little bit of what you use this grant for.
Unmet needs funds is really used to reduce or eliminate waiting lists. So we have individuals on home care through unmet needs. We do personal emergency response buttons. We also do contracted fees. We purchase food for individuals. It really is kind of a catch-all to meet those unmet needs of the community and our seniors that are living in it to make sure that they maintain independence.
Okay, thank you. And the amount is $33,000 coming from New York State. So, any other questions? Okay, let's vote on that then. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion is passed. Thank you. And I think we have one more, Anita.
We do. So the next thing on the agenda is permission to enter into a contract with Home and Health Services. in Steuben County for the ISEP, ADCSI, unmet needs, and 3E grants that we have, which are our home care grants. This is to provide in-home services for older adults in Allegheny County, and the rate is listed per hour, 27 for PC1 or PCA services, in-home respite, and 26 for housekeeper chore, and 125 per RN nursing supervisory, which is required by state regulations.
Okay, thank you. Need a motion to start? Mr. Stockin? Second, Mrs. Burdick? Any discussion? Okay, this is a contract that you've had before, correct?
We had this contract in 2014, so we had a contract back then. This is a new contract this year for us.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is passed. Thank you. Anything else you'd like to add?
We did have a request to fill a typist position, which was with the ad hoc committee.
Okay. And that is for the one part-time typist. And we will deal with that now, so we need a motion to start. Mr. Habe, second by Mrs. Root. Okay, Anita, would you like to tell us a little bit about the position?
Sure. Our front desk is manned by 3 part-time typists at this time. We have an office manager who assists with answering the phones as well as running the front office. This is a 4th part-time typist position, which we're asking permission to fill. The reason that we're asking permission to fill is because of those numbers that continue to skyrocket, where we're at 3,800 phone calls for the front desk in March, which is up 600 calls from February. We do have, the impact would be $1,500 for the year for this position.
Okay, and it is existing, it is part-time. I'm not gonna go into who's supplying the money, I'm gonna let you tell us that.
57% of this is funded by state, 20% federal, 13% is other, so we have some stimulus funds as well as some additional support, and 10% is county for the part-time position.
Okay, and is this something that you've been going without for a while, and is it in the budget?
It is not in the budget. Again, the impact would only be $1,500 for us. It is something we have been going without because we didn't have the need. At that point in time, we were able to maintain with 3 part-time typists, but as the numbers continue to increase, we need the extra support.
Certainly from your report with all the increased numbers, it's easy to see that. Thank you. Mr. Barnes?
Yes, you're saying that because of the increased number of calls, do you foresee the numbers of calls declining in the future months?
I don't. And the reason for that is because since February, we have 2,232 new clients, 60 or over, who have never been to our office before. So we have grown our reach to the older population of 60 or over. Now they know we're here, and they continue to call us for other services. So when we have a new population of 2,200 individuals that are aware that our office is here and here to provide for them, we continue to receive those calls.
So bottom line is that if and when we COVID-19 is behind us, you're still going to have the need you project for this position.
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, let's vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is passed. Thank you very much, Anita. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. And thank you for all the good work you and your staff are doing.
Thank you.
Okay, our next department to hear from is Social Services, and we have Commissioner Edna Case with us today. Thanks for coming, Edna. Appreciate it.
Good afternoon. To start, well, first off, let me say thank you very much for April 2nd. That was very much appreciated by our staff and certainly by me, so thank you for that. If you look at our report, I looked at this after it was submitted, so I apologize, but you, in the year-to-date columns, you're receiving, some of those numbers are duplicated numbers where they should be unduplicated numbers in some parts of those areas. For example, temporary assistance cases through child care only cases, those should be unduplicated counts in that column, and they're duplicated counts. So I will correct those errors for you so that you won't see those in the future. So I apologize for that. Some areas it is necessary for it to be duplicated because you need to know those numbers, but where it's unduplicated, please accept my apology and we'll have that corrected for you next month. Also, if you look back on the back side of the child support unit, you'll see that there are no numbers for February. Unfortunately, the system has been down since the end of March. So support is struggling a little bit because they're not able to work within the support system at this point in time. So we're hoping the state gets that fixed pretty quick so that we can get caught up and able to give you the numbers there that you need. That's what if you have any questions.
And I want to thank you for all of the work that your staff and you have done during the COVID crisis as well. And I also want to say thank you for the new part of the report from the CAC, the Child Advocacy Center. I think those numbers and those categories are very important for us to keep track of and know about. So thank you for making that part of your report. Are there any questions from the legislators? Okay, if not, we have some things to consider and other things to go on. So we have an acceptance and appropriation of Cat County, Western New York COVID-19 community response donation. Would you like to tell us a little
This is very similar to the one that we received from Allegheny County. We applied for it as well in Cattaraugus County. It would be used for wraparound funding for families that come to the CAC, such as gas cards, utilities, rent, food, whatever they might need. And so we would seek your permission for that.
Okay, we'll need a motion to start. Mrs. Root? Second? Mrs. Burdick? Are there any questions? Okay, if not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is passed. Okay, go ahead, Edna.
So our next MOE is regarding the Blue Fund grant in the amount of $300,000 to renovate the properties on Willett Avenue for office space and space for the Child Advocacy Center. The Blue Fund, it's a two-step grant application. We have to submit a letter of intent by April 16th. We have we've completed a rough draft of that, and we've sent it to the county administrator, the county treasurer, DPW, and the county attorney. So we're waiting for their feedback on that. The Blue Fund will consider grant requests that address at least one or more of the following health areas: behavioral health, cardiovascular, healthcare, workforce development, and healthy children, which is where we believe we would fall under. The proposals for the funding may include requests to support capital and or program-related costs. So we're hoping to secure funds to help rehabilitate the areas on Willett Avenue that we would use for the Child Advocacy Center, if you're still willing to let us do that. And so that would be the first part. We would need to do our letter of intent, which would be due by April 16th. By June 21st, they would let us know if our letter of intent was accepted, and then our applications would be submitted, and they would give us decisions by the fall of 2021.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Stockin, motion? Okay, and second is Mrs. Root. And any questions from the legislators? Mrs. Root?
Is there any matching funds required for this, do you know?
No.
Mr. Graves?
And are these the church and the house that's next to the Board of
Yes.
Elections? How did you come up with the $300,000?
The grant was, you could have 100,000 to 300,000 as the cap on the grant. So we had some conversation with the county administrator and with DPW, and the recommendation was that we go for the full 300.
Did an engineer go through and scope it out?
Once
Handicap
we,
accessibility, all the other,
we did go through with, oh, you're gonna need to help me because I'm not gonna remember her name.
We went through with Deb Babbitt Henry, the
Thank
state
you.
code enforcement officer, as well as Justin and Dean have both been through it, and Tom Windus too. And, you know, obviously state code didn't help us with this, but DPW sat down with Edna to come up with some recommendations on how much to apply for and, you know, what sort of cost we'd be incurring with this. And obviously, if we do get this grant, it'll be a public works project they'll be involved with along the way. But they felt as though the full 300 would be what we should shoot for.
the church doesn't even have a bathroom, right?
It has a sink, but yes, I think
Right.
there's
Yeah.
some ideas. There's some, Tom had some very good ideas about how to fix the ADA accessibility for both buildings, with entryway, maybe that you could combine the two and have some bathrooms that would combine the two. Some good ideas I think we'd need to explore with an actual engineer that would be for this project. But
I'm a little familiar with home renovations and that kind of thing, and you can get a lot of money into those. I'm just curious if that 300,000, if there's a chance to go back, if there's a cost overrun, or how that's gonna be handled.
I think the idea is this would cover the initial scope of the project, and then we'd be looking for additional monies to do it. We'd be phasing it in.
We do already have some grant funding from the OVS or the OCFS grant regarding making the buildings ADA accessible. So we do have some help there, at least in the bathroom area of the house.
And we do have a lot of grant money for the CAC available, a lot of grant money. However, we cannot use it for construction costs. We can use it for rent, so we could, you know, charge rent to the CAC and recover the money that way through that grant, but we cannot use it to actually construct or remodel the building. So we need to find other funds to front that cost.
Mr. Healy?
Thank you.
Just correct me if I'm wrong, but we went through the whole building in process before we acquired that property, isn't it? I believe, and we went forward with our plans to have the center there. So I think we're been pretty well aware of what the issues were and challenges are, and it's good that we're going to get some funding for this, for a much needed service for the children of Allegheny County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Healy. Any other comments? Okay, I believe we're ready for a vote then. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is passed. Thank you. Okay, next, go ahead.
Well, let's hope we get that funding.
Yes.
So the Raise the Age, Anchor County funding that was owed to us by the state in the amount of $984,000 has been reimbursed to us. Full amount, not with no 20% withhold, no 5% withhold. We received 100% of that money.
Excellent.
That contract that we did with them would actually run out as of April 1st because they're not going to continue that gap funding past April 1st of this year. But we have not, in that time, we have not paid the amounts of the gap funding since they held out, we held out, remember? So we have not paid that money that is owed on those grants, has continued to, we continue to get the bills, we have not paid that. The total that would be owed at this point in time would be $929,000. Hillside would, we still need their March invoice, but we would owe them about $427,000. In the Villa of Hope, we would owe about $501,000. I did speak with Mr. Bach, the associate commissioner that I think that you've heard Chris and I talk about in the past. He says to me that that money would be reimbursed to us once it's paid at 100%. So I am here asking what it is that you would like for us to do, if you would like us to move forward with that. If not, I think it's a contractual issue that we would need to work out with the state. Although I think that we have said that they have not kept up their end of the deal in the past, which is why we held out as well. So here I am. Here's the question. What would you like me to do?
Mrs. Knapp, do you have any comments on that? Or Terry?
Maybe Terry first.
Well, I will note that the $900 and some thousand that they recently paid us was outstanding for 288 days.
That is correct.
So we lost plenty of interest on that we could have got with no bonus or anything from the state for paying that in advance and not getting that money for 288 days on a 30 to 60 day agreement that they were supposed to pay us back for that. So, you know, I guess we do have a contract with them that we should pay that. I'm leery to send out another $900 and some thousand and wait another 288 days to get reimbursed for that. But I'm assuming that that's not going to be that long. I don't know. I don't know where you want to go with that. It's a crazy mixed up we're in the middle thing that we fund it and then we wait days and days and days to get reimbursed for it. So
And these are for existing claims?
Yes.
yes, they're
And
existing
that's
claims.
the problem, I think, is that they're existing claims. They're not for future claims.
No,
So
they're
these are
existing
things that
claims.
we had said we would do.
Yes.
That's the problem.
Correct.
Yes, the only claim that is not complete is the Villa of Hope, Hillside. Hillside's claim is only missing March. When we get that bill, that would complete that claim. Villa of Hope at 501 is a completed claim that would finish the contract,
And when does our contract end?
April 1st.
April 1st. This April
This,
1st.
yep, it's really.
So it's gone.
It's, yes,
Yeah, okay.
there's no more gap after that.
Mr. Crandall?
I'm wondering if there's any better way to verify that reimbursement other than the contact that you have. I don't know, through the treasury or whatever, but we've been through other agencies and that we've been promised monies in the past that frankly we don't have and never will see. And that's my concern, is how connected or how assured are we when you have someone that's in that position like that, and I don't know what it is, saying, don't worry about it, you'll be reimbursed, but in fact, there's no money there to reimburse you with. Now, they just passed a state budget, everything's, everybody's rolling clover at the moment, but we've heard this before, and we're still holding the bag on many hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars that have not been reimbursed to Allegheny County from that, that same kind of conversation. And I guess maybe not so much for you, Commissioner, but maybe even, county administrator or county treasurer, is there a way to, through budget and finance or someone to find out that get a little bit more of a, don't worry about it. It can be flowing along if we do what we're intended to do. It's not a trick question. It's a tough one, though.
I think it is a trick and a tough one. We struggled with people to get and take notice of the fact that we weren't getting paid 288 days ago, if that's what you want to, we were in contact with NISAC. I don't have a contact that I could reach out to be reassured that we would get that money in a timely fashion. But I know Edna has done what she could to stay on top of that as well. So I don't know where to go from here. I guess we take chances, but hopefully, like you said, they've got money. So hopefully they turn it around. And this, remember, was supposed to be just 100% in and out. We were to pay it. They were to pay us back within a certain amount of time.
And I believe OCFS has approved our claims. They were just being held up at the Division of Budget due to the oddity of last year's state budget, where the Division of Budget had this ultimate control on releasing funds for claims. if we do go forward with this, we can get a hold of Mr. Bach at OCFS and ask if he has any friends at Dasney, and where's our money for the third floor too, by the way.
Correct.
I don't know.
Is that something we should do to investigate it a little bit before we make the motion to pay back all this money, or can it wait a month? We've been waiting a long time. Can they wait a month? Just a minute.
I don't know, and I don't know if you really need a motion so much as just direction for Edna. We are contractually obligated to pay this,
Okay.
and if you're asking her not to pay it, she probably does need to talk to the county attorney.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that knowledge. Mr. Barnes has a question.
Yes. So we owe these organizations $500,000, $400,000 for services that they've rendered, and we are how far late as far as making the payments?
We stopped making payments, I believe it was in June of last year. Correct? June?
So during since that time, they've been continuing to provide these services without payment.
Yes.
So that I would think that they're probably a little bit desperate for cash flow purposes. So wouldn't it be possible to make partial payments to try to get that balance owed down a little bit, also to help them out, and in the meantime trying to wait and to see whether we're going to get reimbursement or not?
Wouldn't that be something? Didn't we get partial payments along the way somewhere?
I think, yeah.
20%?
Yeah. I think the nuance to the RTA situation is that at one point in time, we were paying X amount of dollars for these are empty beds. This is the contract for empty beds. There really is no service. It's an empty bed situation that we paid for to Villa of Hope and Hillside. And then there was legislation that came through that said we would only pay half of that amount of money. So then there was a credit, and correct me if I'm wrong, Anita, but there was a credit that we worked off from for months trying to get it to balance. They had a credit, we had a credit, and we weren't paying, they weren't paying. We were getting to a point where now they have paid back that $900 and some thousand that they owed us way back when. But in the meantime, we've had all these credits to work off, Gary. So now at the end, this is where our credits end. They've ended, and we've got, this money that's owed to these two facilities. But they really didn't provide a service. It was more of a contractual thing that we paid for these empty beds and aftercare for the number of beds they had.
And staffing
Explain-
too, right? Staffing.
Please explain empty beds. I don't understand.
It was all about the Raise the Age program that the state implemented, and that had to do with the 16, 17-year-olds and having to place them in a facility. And there was an agreement that was made between Allegheny County and the state for these two facilities. If you remember correctly, we were the middleman for some funding for them to do some construction at their facilities. And then this empty bed program came out where they billed us for beds that were not filled. So for the 31 days in a month, some other counties might have paid for beds, and we paid for the empty ones. That was what our agreement was. We were really just a cash flow in between the state and the facility.
However, the payment for that was a partial accountant salary or something, wasn't it?
No, that was what we got in return for being this middleman, is they paid for half an accountant's salary in DSS. So roughly between $35,000 and $40,000 is what we got for this. In the meantime, we've spent all this money in and out, like millions of dollars, $8 million, $9 million that flowed in and out of our budget to fund that program with them through a contract.
Why don't we just ask Mr. Bach if he could give us the credit ahead of time, and then we'll pay the invoices? Have we tried that?
Didn't we try that once?
So is this something that can be postponed and looked into and have a final resolution of it? Or is this something we need to vote on now?
I don't think you really need to vote on it. I think Edna was just looking for direction on whether, you know,
Okay.
you wanted her to pursue this or not. And ultimately, if you're even thinking about backing out of these things, you really should talk to your county attorney because it is a contract that you have obligations under.
Okay, so Edna, is this all straight for you now as far as direction, or is it all muddled up?
It's a little muddled, but no offense. I just, you know, I don't want to move forward with something that I know that we've had a lot of discussions about that. I don't want to move forward with that until, you know, I know that regardless that, you know, we're okay to do that. I certainly understand and certainly join in Terry's concerns. I just have to say that I haven't been pleased with this since my first day here, and I won't ever let it happen again. So, because I don't agree with it, but I think that because I really think that at one point in time when we were struggling for our own money, they didn't keep up their end of the deal. And there was no COVID clause in the contract to begin with. So that's my frustration and my dismay with it. So it's about worth 2 cents, but that's what it is.
So I think what I would recommend is that, Edna, you get together with County Administrator Knapp and County Treasurer Terry Ross and develop what you all three think is the best plan and carry it out and come back and report to us what happened next month.
Absolutely can
Does
do
that
that.
work?
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Crandall, don't muddle it up anymore, sir.
I won't. This is still ongoing contract? All right,
Done April 1st, sir.
thank you.
Okay.
I'll bring the M&Ms.
Any other questions for that topic? Okay. Thank you very much for bringing that to our attention. And it's something that I think we're all going to be happy to see resolved. So thank you. Okay. We have a couple of positions that you wanted to bring to us, right? Go ahead and share the first one with us.
So we have a senior typist position. That is due to a promotion within the department. And that annual salary is $31,000 to $37,000 a year. It has a 38% county funding, 10% state, and 52% federal funding. They're responsible for answering calls that come into the agency and doing clerical work with all of the programs that we support in the Department of Social Services.
Okay. I see that it is an existing position. It
Yes,
is
oh, I'm sorry.
full-time.
Existing position, full-time in the budget.
And it is a union position in the AFSCME bargaining unit. Do you want to share a little bit what the funding is? And also, has it been vacant for a while? And how long could it stay vacant and you all function?
So this position hasn't, okay, so the funding is $31,000 to $37,000 for the salary. The source of the funding is 38% from the county, 10% state, 52% federal. It has not been vacant very long. It's probably been vacant, well, we submitted this on 3/3, so it was probably vacant maybe a week or two prior to that. This position we feel is, it's an existing position, but we feel that it's absolutely necessary because we have a lot of call volume that comes in during the day, and there's a lot of clerical work that needs to be completed in the department. And we have 3 senior typists right now that do this, and with this position being filled, it would make 4.
Okay, thank you. Other questions, Mr. Stockin? Oh, you're moving it, thank you. Second? Mrs. Root, thank you. Any questions now? Okay, if not, we'll take a vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? That motion is passed. Thank you, Edna. Next one?
The next position is the Provisional Employment Specialist, asking to fill that and any resulting backfills due to a retirement. That salary is, it's full-time union, AFSCME. Salary is $36,000 to $43,000. The county is, funding for the position is 30%, the state is 10%, and the federal is 60%. And it is budgeted in this current year's budget. This position is responsible for verifying employability of applicants of temporary assistance, and to work with job track clients that are employable people through TA, job track clients, and assigning duties based on abilities and any medical restrictions that that client may have.
Thank you for the explanation. Appreciate it. Mrs. Root? Okay, thank you. Need a second? Mr. Havey? Okay. Any questions from the legislators? Mr. Stockin?
When was the retirement?
She retired at the end of March, March 26th. At the end of March, March 26th, I think, was her last working day.
Okay. Mr. Barnes, did you have a question?
Yeah, this is kind of a general question I've never asked before, and I just, when you have a position that's open, that's partially funded by the state and the federal government, obviously we're not collecting any state or federal funds if that position's not filled.
Correct.
Is that correct? So when we put a person in that position, immediately we can start billing the state and federal for their percentage. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
That was an easy one. Usually you give me hard ones.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, if not, we'll,
I have just a quick
Question?
question. Once you have an opening, about what's the time frame to fill it?
Well, it's usually we hope to fill it within a month to a month and a half.
So who's doing the work while it's vacant?
It's split up with the existing staff.
okay. Any other, Mr. Barnes?
Your last comment, does that mean that other work is not being done because they're having to do part work that this particular person should be doing?
What it means is that anybody that has that same title, we're taking the work of that person and we're splitting it among those people with the expectation that they get their work and this work done.
So you're getting more work out of
It gets
three people.
it gets a little behind. It gets a little behind, but we try to do what we can to.
In other words,
keep up.
to be as efficient as possible, you need this person
Yes.
to.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. If there are no more questions, we'll take a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is passed. Thank you. And I believe we have one more.
This position is for, by the way, our positions are provisional at this point in time because we're waiting for civil service testing to open back up. So that's why they're provisional. This one is for a social welfare examiner, and any resulting backfills due to resignation. Actually, this employee moved out of Allegheny County, moved across the state, and is now working for another county in the same type of position. It's a full-time AFSCME union position. Salary is $35,000 to $42,000. The funding for the position is 38% county, 10% state, 52% federal. This position is responsible for interviewing clients and determining eligibility for benefits, temporary assistance, and food stamps, SNAP, if you will. And that, I guess that's my request.
Okay. Motion for Mrs. Root. Second, Mr. Havey. Questions? Mr. Stockin?
Same question. When did the resignation occur?
This one was also at the end of March.
I just like to try to guess what the actual cost is going to be. If it's open for a while, it won't be full. So thank you.
Other questions? Okay, if not, we'll take a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is passed. Thank you. Okay, is there anything else you would like to share with us?
I have one question.
Yes.
Okay, so the ad hoc committee, any resulting backfills that had to come from outside of the agency, from within the community, we needed to bring those backfills back to the ad hoc committee. When you're,
What ad hoc committee?
okay, so, huh? Yeah.
So you bring them here. You go back to the old process.
Go back to the old process. Okay, so that means, so I'm clear, those ones that we don't need to bring those ones back, we can continue to fill. Those outside of the agency.
And I think that we had done that before we had ad hoc.
Oh, did you?
I think so.
Okay,
Yeah, I believe
okay,
so.
then I stand corrected.
And if you
And
run
so I
into an
will-
emergency with that, let me know.
I will bring those back then. Okay, I'm good.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, Edna. And again, thanks to you and all your staff for all you've done during COVID for the last year. Is there any old business today? Any new business? Good of the order? We'll take a motion for adjournment. Mr. Havey, second, Mrs. Burdick. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We are done. Thank you.